Sheath the Rise return. Let's go! Welcome back to Vader's Lair, y'all. We definitely have some exciting news to go over and talk about with everyone because, oh yeah, Star Wars is coming back, baby. It's not dead. It's never been. It's more alive than it's ever been. Let's get it. Let's talk about it. Let's do it. Welcome back to the channel, y'all. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. Smash that like button as you're entering in. Much love and thank you for being here, one and all. Happy, what day is it? Wednesday? Happy Wednesday, y'all. Happy hump day. There's been some pretty interesting news in the past couple days that makes your boy pretty optimistic, even with all the kind of negativity in the space in the past year with the Acolyte. I think the show was pretty good overall, and I'm excited about the future of Star Wars either way. And then we got some interesting news, starting with Variety coming out and saying that the Star Wars movie with Daisy Ridley loses the screenwriter Stephen Knight. And I don't know if my music is loud now. It might be a little low, but let me turn it a little lower just here so we can kind of get into this. Actually, might as well pull it up. There we go. So the Star Wars movie with Daisy Ridley loses screenwriter Stephen Knight. This was a few weeks ago, and I won't get too deep into this because it's more just, this happens all the time, and it's not even really noteworthy at this point because they got somebody new. But, you know, they had some people, they're really trying to make this movie, you know, happen. And I'm cool with that. I'm here for it. I'm excited to see what it is, and I'm excited that they're putting this much work into it, having another, what is it, the end of 24 now. They have another 2 years to kind of figure this out, a little less than that. Because there's supposed to be 3 Star Wars movies coming out as soon as May of 2026 is the first one that's supposed to release, and then it's like one in December of 2026 too, because they're going back to trying to release like 2 in the same, you know, really they're releasing 3 in the span of like a year and a half, because they got that December in 2026 one, and then they're supposed to release another one in 2027 in December of that year. So it's like they're supposed to have 3 movies in the next like 2 years essentially. And yeah, no, I've never been the biggest sequel fan, but they're cool. Like, they're not bad movies at all in my opinion. I think they're a little overhated on, just like how the prequels were back in the day, you know what I mean? And yeah, they're not perfect, but I don't know if it necessarily needed to be. It's still good, you know what I mean? Hello there to everybody in the chat, by the way. I'm going to try to pull this chat up. Hopefully this doesn't. Okay, cool. Yes. Hello there to everyone. CT0420, Lobo, Darth Lance. Everybody, Sire Speed Reviews, what up, my dude? Jedi Mike and Darth Maximus as well. Much love to everybody. Let's get into this article, though. There is another disturbance in the Force. Screenwriter Stephen Knight has departed the Star Wars movie set to follow Daisy Ridley's Rey after the events of 2019 Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Alright, I won't do it the whole time unless you want me to. In March of 23, Variety exclusively reported that Knight had signed on to the project, and then he had originally replaced the original screenwriters Damon Lindelof and Justin Britt Gibson. So again, this happens all the time, especially with Star Wars, and now it's happening for the 3rd time. But then they obviously got rid of this dude as well. It's been said to chronicle Rey's efforts to start a new Jedi Academy as well, but the delay likely means production won't start well into 2025 at the least. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely in the early production of it, but they do have now a potential trilogy, which I'll talk to you guys about in a second here. But Charmin Obaid-Chinoy is still supposed to be attached to direct the film, or at least the standalone film that was supposed to be happening, which would be her first debut, and she obviously directed one of the episodes of Miss Marvel, and twice won an Oscar for Best Documentary Short Film. So she's got some good good accolades in there, for sure. And I don't know if she'll still be a part of it. Maybe she will. But let's get into the next one and why your boy has so much optimism and excitement right now. Besides the fact that Skeleton Crew is like what 3 weeks away, a couple weeks away. December 3rd is the first 2 episodes released. Like I'm actually excited, man. It looks like a real Goonies good time Star Wars space adventure, and it might expand a little bit more to that because John Watts is a part of it, and he was a director and part of all the Spider-Man movies with MCU and everything, and I like a lot of his body of work, so I'm excited for Skeleton Crew in general. But this article is what's got me real hyped. Let me go up a little bit. So from Variety, the new Star Wars trilogy in works from X-Men alum Simon Kinberg, and it's so funny to me that they call him an X-Men alum, and obviously he definitely is. Like, if you guys want, I'll go through his accolades. I probably will anyway. But he definitely is an X-Men alum, but really, to me, he's a Star Wars alum and just MCU alum in a sense, or Marvel alum, more on the Fox side of things. Which, like, yes, maybe you could have some skepticism for that, but he's also been attached to some of the best stuff with the Fox side of things. So, I mean, he did. In all fairness, we'll get into it. But here's the article, and again, why I'm so excited, because I love this dude. X-Men alum Simon Kinberg is preparing to visit a galaxy far, far away. Lucasfilm is developing a new Star Wars trilogy, apparently, or is said to be, with Kinberg set to write and produce 3 films, with studio chief Kathleen Kennedy also being a producer. This will begin a new series with new characters after Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, and it's supposed to star Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Adam Driver, and Oscar Isaac, which would be amazing. At least that's what it says here. Concluded the original 9-chapter Skywalker saga in 2019, though plot details haven't been revealed. Lucasfilm has disputed the notion first suggested by Deadline in their initial reports of the forthcoming trilogy, that Kinberg's movies will continue the story that George Lucas began with 1977's A New Hope, introducing Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker, and of course Harrison Ford's Han Solo and Carrie Fisher's Princess Leia. Let's see where we are here. So Disney currently has Jon Favreau's The Mandalorian and Grogu, a continuation of the series, set to release on the calendar for May 22nd, 2026, along with 2 untitled Star Wars movies set for December 18th, 2026 as well, and then December 17th of 2027. Lucasfilm has several other Star Wars projects in the works, or have had them in the works for some time, or said to be, from filmmakers such as James Mangold, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, Taika Waititi, and Donald Glover as well. But it's ambiguous which of these will hit the big screen first, or which of them is going to be coming in those 2026, 2027 slots kind of at the moment. New installations in the space opera from director Patty Jenkins. She probably won't be doing... I don't know if that'll still happen. We'll see whatever happened with that one. Probably not. It's in the void. I don't know about all of that, though. Of course, there was talks of Kevin Feige being attached to something at one point, or probably just a rumor, and then Rian Johnson supposedly supposed to doing more stuff in the future, or was hoping to, and they were open to it. It sounded like, and of course, David Benoit and DB Wise were announced over the years and never came to fruition, as it says. So yeah. This isn't a very new thing to Star Wars, but in the 5 years since the Rise of Skywalker, the last Star Wars theatrical release, Lucasfilm has launched the Disney Plus series Mandalorian that was a hit, as well as 2 more live-action shows in the Mandoverse The Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka, plus the upcoming series Skeleton Crew that your boy is hyped for. And there were also standalone series including The Acolyte, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Andor. Kinberg is best known for writing and producing a number of X-Men films, and this is where we'll get into his accolades a little bit. He produced, I believe, or was a producer for the X-Men: The Last Stand, which is a fantastic movie. Or sorry, not Last Stand. I was thinking First Class. That's a fantastic movie. Last Stand's good too. Days of Future Past, he was a producer for, and then he was a producer on 2016's Deadpool. He was also a producer for Deadpool 2 and a producer, or I think an executive producer for Deadpool and Wolverine as well. He was also a producer for 2017's Logan. So there you go. You know, he did some pretty good stuff with that Fox universe. You know what I mean? And then he was also made his directorial debut and was a writer, director, producer, I think, for Dark Phoenix, which a lot of people didn't like. I've never seen it, so I can't really chime into that. But here's why I'm excited and why your boy thinks this is probably the perfect dude for the job. And again, the big rebel simp that I am, you guys know me. Come on now. He also worked on and was a co-creator essentially for the show Star Wars Rebels with Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck, and continues to consult with director J.J. Abrams on and did at the time on 2015 Star Wars The Force Awakens, which is one of my favorite of the sequel trilogies. So with that in mind, like, keep this in mind, y'all. He essentially was a co-creator for Star Wars Rebels. He produced and wrote for a lot of the episodes, a lot of the best episodes. I think he was potentially I think he was actually the writer for Twilight of the Apprentice, if I'm not mistaken. I got to double check that. Shout out to my boy Tim for telling me. But for real, he did a great job on all of that stuff that they did with Rebels, and honestly, it's probably my favorite Star Wars projects to these days, and probably the most underrated Star Wars project ever. But okay, let's put it into perspective this way too. Dave Filoni kind of had an outline and ideas, probably that he already was bouncing off of with Kinberg for the end of Star Wars Rebels, which is probably the best part of the show. And Dave Filoni left the end of season 4 to go work on a show called The Mandalorian, which I think we all know how that turned out. But essentially, Simon Kinberg was left in charge at the end of season 4 with the finale to finish Star Wars Rebels. So I completely trust this dude. You know what I mean? Like, he's the guy. Like, sure, there was probably a lot on his plate with Dark Phoenix, and he was also making his directorial debut for that. Some of his writing projects, or the stuff he's written for in the past, are a little interesting, you know, too. Or, you know, it's kind of a cool accolade of things, but including Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which I think he actually did some writing for the new show as well with Donald Glover and that. But, you know, he's definitely close with Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck to this day, and the fact that, you know, he can carry some of their work and talk with them about some of the stuff he's doing and the new, you know, potential new sequel trilogy that he's already got ideas for. It's, you know, it's pretty dope. But sources stress that Kinberg's trilogy remains in early development, and it's unclear when it'll go into production. The filmmaker is serving as producer on Paramount and Edgar Wright's The Running Man remake, which recently went into production with Glenn Powell and Josh Brolin. He also is attached as a producer on Paramount's next Star Trek movie from director Toby Haynes, so he's obviously a pretty busy guy right now. Lobo. Oh, God, let me see what you said there, because that's... Oh, man. Is the music still playing? I don't think the music's on. Maybe that was earlier. Good to know, though. Let me put that a little higher. That might be me. Hello to everybody though in the chat. Let's get into the chat for a sec, and then we'll get into another couple articles. Star Wars Tennessee. I'm dead, CT. I'm so dead from that comment. Lobo said, did he do production work on all of those Marvel projects, or was he grandfathered into the credits? Yeah, that is a good question, right? I think the fact he is attached to all of them, you would think he probably had at least a little bit to do with some of them, but he probably could have been grandfathered into. You never know. That is an excellent point to put out there, though. Again, though, he's done some excellent work with Rebels and some of the stuff they've done in general. So I don't know. He's also written for some pretty good stuff in general. And I was saying that some interesting stuff, but it's not bad stuff. It's just interesting stuff. Taika needs to make a Hondo Onaka project. Yo, I'm with that. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. Skywalker's Academy, good to see you in the chat. We need the fourth sequel to give us a sequel to give us Lucasfilm bringing back Ben Solo. Yeah. Then we need the Rey movie to explain how that happened and cover more of her backstory. I'm with it. We could do both. 4 Rey movies. Anybody down? I'm down. Filoni verse. I'm with it, Jedi Mike. You already know. At least we'll have one writer for the trilogy. Yeah, that's good too. If it's kind of continued through the same guy, and especially if he's kind of bouncing stuff off of other people in that space, there's definitely some good news there. You know what I mean? I think it is good. I think it is a good thing. Dark Phoenix was awful, said Lobo. Mike is still low. Okay, let me double check that. Are we good? We're still low. Still low. Interesting. Let me know if it's still low. Have you beat Terminus yet? No, I haven't beat Terminus yet. Definitely not solo. I have not beat it. Okay. So let's kind of continue on here and go to the next little variety article I found that they put out just a couple days ago. Why Lucasfilm entrusted Steinberg to pilot Why Lucasfilm entrusted Simon Kinberg to pilot the next Star Wars movies. And yes, this is very good reasons as to why. When news broke on Thursday that Simon Kinberg, best known for being a writer, producer, director, or all of the above on much of the X-Men franchise, had been hired by Lucasfilm to write and produce a new Star Wars trilogy, it came as a surprise to many executives at Lucasfilm and Disney. The project is considered internally to be in deep development, and not nearly ready to be made public. There are also some surprises within the wider industry that Lucasfilm had turned to Kinberg as the newest steward of Star Wars on the big screen. According to multiple industry sources with experience working on the franchise, Kinberg is seen on one level as a sensible and safe choice, starting with his 2005 XXX State of the Union and Mr. and Mrs. Smith. His films as a screenwriter have grossed more than $3.3 billion worldwide. Beyond the X-Men films, he's also produced Cinderella, The Martian, and Kenneth Branagh's, sorry about that, 3 Hercule Poirot film, all to ample success. He's said to understand how to talk to film executives about franchise filmmaking in a way that allies their concerns. So he's kind of good at schmoozing the executives, in making them not really worry too much about the creative decisions and how much it's going to cost at the bottom line for these projects. He's pretty good at schmoozing them over, which you love to see that as well. He's good at making them be like, look, dude, we got to go balls to the walls for this. Simberg, you already know. On another level, however, Kinberg is regarded by some as considerably risky bet with Dark Phoenix his first directorial debut in 2019 being his the lowest grossing and worst reviewed film in the X-Men franchise. To that point, Kinberg also produced the final X-Men movie, The New Mutants, which was delayed so frequently due to an inspacious brew of creative concerns, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he was attached to other bunch of good stuff. Come on now. That film wound up getting dumped as the first major wide release during the pandemic and was probably destroyed, essentially. I don't think I've seen The New Mutants. Just how it is. But yeah, he also says now that X-Men is firmly under auspices of it's under Marvel Studios and the MCU now. Beautiful. Kinberg has labored to recreate his earlier success. His next and latest to date effort as director, 2022 spy thriller, The 355. I don't think I've ever heard of that. It was a financial disaster. Well, the good news is at least he's not directing. He's just, at the moment writing and producing, which he has a lot better history with those things. Lucasfilm, meanwhile, has faced substantial difficulty launching a comprehensive film slate. It's been impossible for them to make any movies lately, it seems like, for whatever reason. The only ones to date are The Mandalorian and Grogu spin-off of the popular series. But otherwise, yeah, that's it. Which we'll get into one more article probably. I know you guys are probably tired of the articles. One major factor, one source with knowledge of the deal, is Kinberg's continued creative relationship. And again, this is what the good stuff right here, with Lucasfilm creative executive Carrie Beck and chief creative officer Dave Filoni, who both worked with Kinberg on the well-regarded 2014 to 2018 animated series Star Wars Rebels. Lucasfilm chief Kathleen Kennedy, however, was the one who made the outreach to Kinberg about making a live-action Star Wars movie. She'd already brought it to him in the fold once in 2012. 2012. Sheesh. We've been in the 2020s too long, apparently. Screenwriters Marco Arnett and Arndt and Lawrence Kasdan had mapped out early ideas for the first 3 Star Wars movies, work that largely discredited after 2015's Star Wars Force Awakens. But Kinberg was again tapped in 2018 to write a standalone Boba Fett movie that we all remember was supposed to happen with James Mangold. Jeez, I'm all over the place with the names today. Reading too much. But they never were able to submit a full script. The box office failure, Solo, a Star Wars story that year, coupled with Disney's mandate to create content for its upcoming streaming services, caused Kennedy to shift studio's strategy towards standalone movies, or away from standalone movies and towards Disney Plus. Kinberg was hired, though. That was canceled. So the movie for Boba Fett was canceled around that time, and then it was obviously shifted to the Book of Boba Fett. Studio insiders also stressed that while media reports have claimed that Kinberg's Star Wars... I can't read right now. It's because I'm trying to read off of something else. I should just read the article. Where the flip was I? That's why I'm reading off this. Studio insiders also stressed that while media reports have claimed that Kinberg's Star Wars movies will continue the Skywalker saga from episodes 10, 11, and 12, the films are in their most nascent stage, or their earliest form, of course. Kinberg's efforts are meant to create a new saga, but as the case is, we'll see what happens. Specific plot details and characters are light years away from taking their final shape, let alone arriving to theaters. So obviously take everything with a grain of salt, but this is currently the plan. Kinberg is also already committed to helping revive other celebrated sci-fi projects, which we already talked about. But it's definitely an interesting thing, to say the least. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chats, because I'm excited about it. Sonia, welcome into the chat, by the way, and Grandmaster, hello there. Saw the live. Kinberg is not doing a trilogy. The reason he has 3 Star Wars projects to do, or Star Trek projects to do, that was power play by Kathleen that failed miserably. No projects have been greenlit for the Rey character, contrary to what the internet is reporting. Yeah, no, I was never really, I don't know if it ever said it was greenlit. Like it says right here, they're light years away from being in production. So this is all very early reports and just the current ideas and plans that are going on and the latest news. Yeah, if you're in the Lair, hit that like button for the hype of the Skeleton Crew. Hey, much love, CT0420, my guy. Alan Copeland, welcome in, my dude. He says, hail Vader's Lair. Hail to you, my friend. Yeah, Kinberg was pretty funny. The good stuff. Yeah, I'm telling you, the good stuff. He definitely was attached already with some pretty good stuff, and you know, being as closely attached with Carrie Beck and Dave Filoni as he was throughout that, that's definitely the thing that excites me about this. And thanks, you know, I'm down for Simon Kinberg to be a part of any type of Star Wars projects that are hitting the big screen. You know what I mean? He's proved himself to be one that understands the universe, being attached to it the way that he already has been. Like I said, he was attached to some of the best episodes of Star Wars Rebels, so that alone excites me. Here's an article from The Hollywood Reporter that I'm not going to lie, I didn't really like this article that much, but I wanted to share it with you guys because it is another perspective and another article on this whole nonsense, in a sense. Star Wars movie. Oh, nope, there it goes. Star Wars movies race for Rey and the future of the franchise on the big screen. The scavenger Jedi, played by Daisy Ridley in the last 3 episodic movies, is key to the space opera's next turn. I kind of, sure, but I kind of disagree. I don't know. We'll get into it. Forget the Death Star. Who cares about that thing? The most coveted weapon in Star Wars, in the Star Wars movie arsenal, is the character of Rey Skywalker. I don't know about that. I mean, she's definitely a big asset. I think that they could do some cool things with her if they play their cards right. Hopefully. I would love to see that. But a weapon arsenal in the what? Interesting perspective, Hollywood Reporter. Since the November 7th reveal that Simon Kinberg has signed on to develop and write and produce a Star Wars trilogy for Lucasfilm and Disney, debate has focused on whether or not it would be a continuation of the so-called 9-film Skywalker saga, tying it to the legacy of Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, and the storylines first laid out by George Lucas in 1977. The reason for that debate is the new hoped-for trilogy would feature Rey in some form or fashion. Some fans have expressed criticism that Lucasfilm would return to the well to make episodes, as they are called, beyond the 9 movies that comprise the Skywalker story, which had been billed as concluding with the 2019 Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. That film had grossed over $1.77 billion globally. Whew, that's a lot. But it also wasn't received well by much of the fan base. It received a B+ from the audience polls on CinemaScore and a 51% by critics tally on Rotten Tomatoes. Yep. But Rey the Scavenger turned Jedi, played by Daisy Ridley, is the last 3 episode movies key to the franchise next turn. That potentially puts Kinberg's trilogy story development as early and it's again in very early stages, but it says it may well be on a collision course with the Rey standalone movie that is actively in the works with director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. And I gotta say, just as someone that's kind of been in this space for a while, usually when news comes out like this, it's because that's probably no longer happening. You know what I mean? We've already seen a lot of this stuff been put to the side. And if you're telling me that there's actively potentially something of a potential trilogy in the works, either Sharmeen Obaid's is going to be brought into that in some aspect, or like you guys said, maybe they're going to do 4 Rey movies with 3 of them being a trilogy, one of them being a little bit more of a backstory. But to me, reading all of this and in general, I don't think it would be a collision course. I think that Kinberg's would be kind of what they're now developing, from at least what the news is this week. That feature revealed with fanfare in April 2023 at Star Wars Celebration. Yeah, they basically announced that back in Celebration in London, and it was supposed to star Ridley and could have already been in production were it not for some unanticipated headwinds, with writers rotating around more than R2-D2's Chrome Dome. Weird statement. A new writer's search is underway, so it's unclear when that would go. But isn't that the whole thing with Kinberg supposed to be the writer? Okay. Perhaps that is why Lucasfilm was receptive to Kinberg's multi-story pitch. Anything to move Rey forward, but it does engender rumors in the Star Wars underground of filmmakers jostling for characters. Why jostling for characters? What do you mean? I don't know about that one. Ridley, for her part, recently told The Hollywood Reporter, "I feel like the new one or the new ones will be so interesting. Time has passed, so a lot has changed for me personally. It'll be interesting to come back to someone I know so well, but in such a different moment." And that's definitely an exciting perspective from her, and it's cool to see her kind of excitement to getting back into these. While insiders dispute the notion that there is a battle for Rey, there definitely is internal deliberation within Lucasfilm as to what to do with the heir to the Skywalker next. So that might be kind of the debate here within Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy's movie and this potential trilogy, or what else they might want to do with her. But yeah, I guess that's what they're kind of talking about in terms of jolting for characters. They're trying to figure out what kind of shows or movies they can create with the characters they already have available to them, in a sense, which I don't know if that's always necessarily the way we need to be going. And I also think that they definitely have stuff set up, and that's why I disagree that Rey is the biggest arsenal that they have. I think she's a huge asset. I don't know if she's the biggest weapon. I think the biggest weapon they have is Thrawn. If you want to call him a weapon in the first place. But to me, I think that it's definitely a huge asset to have the ability to continue Rey's story, for sure. And I think it's, in terms of characters, she is one of the biggest characters that they can go off of. So in that aspect, I get what The Hollywood Reporter is going for here. It just seems they're making it seem like Lucasfilm is actively, frantically running around like a chicken with their head cut off, which personally, I don't think that's the case. I think that they have a bit more. Dave Filoni's got some plans. You know what I mean? They're doing a little bit more than just the Rey stuff at the moment. And yeah, there might be some other movies, of course, that are not. Who knows when we're gonna get other Star Wars movies? But I'm telling you, The Mandalorian and Grogu and whatever other projects are gonna come out of that. And with the setup of Thrawn returning to the main Star Wars galaxy and Ezra returning as well, there's a lot more, I think, that there's set up, as well as with Ahsoka. I mean, there's a lot set up with Ahsoka that they could even turn a season 2 into a movie of its own if they really wanted to. Because, heck, you set up the father, son, and the daughter, the Mortis gods. You could definitely do a movie about that. Let me see what y'all are saying in the chat real quick. Let me see what y'all are saying. Skeleton Crew will be a lot better than people are thinking. There will be a lot of surprises. I totally agree, Grandmaster. Especially one. New Rey movie rumors are very worrying for the future of Star Wars. I disagree. I disagree with that quote, though. I very disagree. CT0420 says, I'm hyped for Cobra Kai on the 15th. I know it's not Star Wars, but I'm still hyped. I still got to get into Cobra Kai, so maybe you guys in the chat can get me to kind of get a little more into it. Are we losing frame rates? Are we still here? I'm like spazzing out on the screen. Star Wars Santa says, just put the pieces together. The new Jedi Order movie has been in the writing stage for a while now and is speculated to start shooting in 2025. Kinberg stories don't even have a seed of a story. True. Yeah, they're kind of in the beginning stages. But that's okay. Speculated to start shooting in 2025. I honestly hadn't even heard that, Star Wars Santa. So good. Thank you. I've been out of the game too long, dude. Thanks for updating me. I got to get back into it. The new Jedi Order could very well be a post episode 9 story of Rey and Finn building something new. For sure. I like the idea that someone else had in the chat a little bit ago. Let me go back up to where... Okay, Skywalker's Academy earlier in the chat said we need a Force sequel to give us a Lucasfilm bringing back Ben Solo. Then we need the Rey movie to explain how that happened and cover more of her backstory. So yeah, we could have the Rey movie do maybe even the Jedi story that you're talking about, Santa, and then do, another trilogy. Maybe bringing Ben back? That'd be interesting. John Boyega said he's not returning. I've heard him say that for sure before, and then I've heard him say that he's definitely open to returning. It's about time, too, I think, for him, and I think he definitely recently said that he would return. Yeah, like Star Wars Santa said. There's reports of both. A couple years ago, he definitely said that he was not... John Boyega had said that he was not open to returning at the time, and it kind of stated if they had the right story at some point, maybe. But he was like, at this point, like, no. And then more recently, he definitely has said otherwise in terms of like, if they bring me the right story, sure, like, I'll come back. I'm open to it. Money is a hell of a drug for sure. And like hey, if they are doing a good story, how would you not want to come back? You know what I mean? If they're making you a Jedi, giving you that saber, you know what I mean? I'll come back for the cash too, and the story. Hell yeah, let's go. I'll continue on though. That feature revealed again, yeah. So coming back down, where was I? Okay, so she's the most valuable cinematic asset in some ways. Maybe the only one Star Wars has right now. Thrawn. Anyway, one source close to the franchise tells The Hollywood Reporter Pedro Pascal's Mandalorian and Yoda-like Grogu are Disney Plus creation. What even is that? According to sources, Rey is set to play... Where is my... it's set to play a role in several months. Movies are being developed, although which ones remain unclear. So, according to sources, Rey is set to play a role in several movies. Yeah. Interesting. That is interesting. I'm open to that, though. Star Wars movies development has been under scrutiny for several years. Many years. With Lucasfilm head Kathleen Kennedy taking fire for not developing meaningful characters for those first created by Lucas prior to the sale of Disney in 2012 for $4 billion. And if the franchise looks forward to its canon timeline, all those beloved characters, Luke, Leia, Vader, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Han, are dead or had their storylines wrapped in prequels or spin-offs. Rey, created in the post-Lucas era, is arguably the only entity with currency on the big screen now. The closet is a little bare, says another source. Well, sure, if you're talking about currency on the big screen, but That's exactly it. You're talking about making movies with characters that you've already done in the movies, but you can easily bring characters from your shows and things and create movies from them, like you're already doing with the Mandalorian and Grogu. And hopefully you should probably do a Thrawn trilogy. You know what I mean? Like like that might be a pretty good idea with the setup that you have. Anyway. What the Kinberg hiring lays bare is the development of movies at the company remains its own unique ecosystem in Hollywood. There are numerous Star Wars movies being developed that overlap characters or timelines. They are not related, but whatever one were to come out first, could it, in a domino effect, impact the other ones after it, says them? Interesting. I would definitely think that they're at least talking about the impacts that they could have. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. I would think that they are, though. Oh god, there we go again. Some Lucasfilm directors are aware of what others are working on, while others are not. That's probably because they need to know what, like, specific things from other things. You know what I mean? So that's not really that crazy to me. For instance, Taika Waititi is working on Star Wars movie. Sean Levy has a featured project in the works, and Donald Glover's Lando idea has moved over development from TV to the film side of Lucasfilm. A Rogue Squadron project is still in development as well, they say, with Patty Jenkins. It's a different way of development, says another insider familiar with the company's way of working. There's so much parallel work going on. Yeah, there probably is for sure a lot of parallel work going on at times. Am I tripping? It also points to the unique nature of Star Wars to fans, and its case of filmmakers and producers. It's not necessarily a brand or franchise, but more akin to a religion. Unlike Marvel or DC, with decades of storylines propelling them forward, or even Harry Potter with 7 fleshed out books, Star Wars at its core has been the original George Lucas movies, and nothing has been codified or been made more canonical in modern times than those 3 movies. To filmmakers and executives, the first trilogy is the Old Testament. Sure. They're perfection. Anyway. You're being asked to create the New Testament, adds one source who worked on previous movies, and no one can agree on anything, and there's a lot of second guessing about meanings, I'm sure. That's insane to even put it that way. Another source familiar with the process is more business-minded, noting Star Wars is a nostalgia-based enterprise, and they are running out of ways to create nostalgia. I mean, they're literally coming out with a show that has nothing to do with nostalgia in like 3 weeks. Granted, sure, Acolyte wasn't received extremely well and was crapped on from the moment it was even created. But what is nostalgic about Skeleton Crew? Other than maybe, a lightsaber or something in it, or a Jedi, like nostalgia. I get you. It's a nostalgia-based franchise in terms of the fact that it's been around for decades. You could say the same thing about the MCU if you really want to, in some senses. Sure, they're creating new stuff all the time or new characters, but a lot of them aren't really super popular at the moment. Or hit or miss for a lot of fans, which I usually like it. that's the thing though. The MCU is very nostalgia based because they're literally creating movies the way that they created comic books. They're literally doing the same thing. Like they made a dang She-Hulk show. The She-Hulk comic books were sold terribly. I like She-Hulk even though it's not that great. It's a little interesting. We're Where was I? I went on a whole tangent there. uh, the television side doesn't appear to have these problems, as several insiders note that the ARM has a lot more freedom to expand Lucas' universe, which is why there's been a varied slate that runs the gamut. For better or worse, in the eyes of the fans, from Andor Season 2 arrives in next April, to The Acolyte not getting a Season 2. I hope it does. As well as a corner for Ahsoka creator Dave Filoni, the chief creative executive officer at Lucasfilm. Sorry, I don't know why. I felt like saying that with that. That's hilarious. Finally, the time has come. But yeah, no, they're saying that the television side doesn't have the same problem as the movie side of things in terms of nostalgia-based enterprise. But I'm telling you, man, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I'm pretty sure Rogue One did pretty good. Am I mistaken? Right? And hey, Rogue One also had a female lead. Great movie. One of the best Star Wars movies, especially under Disney. Probably my favorite. Great movie. But that's what I'm saying. That's not necessarily nostalgia based, other than the fact that, yeah, they threw in Vader at the end for 5 seconds, and then obviously a little cameo of Princess Leia and some other characters, but otherwise not much nostalgia. I mean, sure, it's Star Wars. It's all nostalgia. But like, that's what I'm saying though, that you made a fantastic movie with Rogue One, and then you think because Solo flops 6 months after one of the most divisive movies and projects in the entire franchise, The Last Jedi, came out. That's not your issue, fam. You can make movies without doing nostalgia based. In fact, Han Solo was probably the wrong way to go about the nostalgia based thing, if you're even gonna go about it. Is Pokemon not nostalgia? Pokemon is straight nostalgia, my guy, and I'm a sucker for it, man. I'm a sucker for it. Yeah, so like Star Wars Santa says to Grandmaster, July in 2023, in response to question if he'd return to Star Wars, I'm open to scripts that are enjoyable and have a great cast attached and a terrific director. So yeah. Skywalker's Academy says, I disagree a little bit about nostalgia based. See, I'm with you, dude. It doesn't need to be. It's about history, politics, and religion. It's relatable, but not based on nostalgia. That too as well. Great points. Fans focus on nostalgia. You're right. Exactly. So that's kind of the thing. Is like the common, the common fan. We all focus on nostalgia or recognize it a little bit, or point out when there's a Max Rebo cameo or something. It's nostalgic. But that's the thing, though. It's definitely way more than nostalgia based. You know what I mean? And if you're going about it being nostalgia based, that's where you're gonna probably not make as good of a Star Wars project as you can, for sure. That's definitely not this is not the way. She-Hulk was fun. It was fun. It definitely was. There was definitely some parts at the end that were just, oh my goodness, what is going on? But I love the fourth wall breaking. It's pretty dope. She just broke it insanely. She broke my brain at the end of that movie, or at the end of that show. Skywalker's Academy also says, George always pushed for something for the fans wouldn't expect, not nostalgia. Yeah, that's true too. That is true. Jason, whoa. Star Wars is obviously and has more than the movies for a while now, bro. Yeah, that's the other thing too, is they're talking about the nostalgia and everything, and obviously for the movies, they're trying to, it seems like they're trying to go about it a nostalgic way, which I don't think this is the way. You're doing so many other great things and new characters in the video game, television, comic book, all these other aspects of Star Wars that you're doing. And then you're just there seemed to be like this stalemate of like, what do we do with the movies? It's like, you could literally, here's the problem too, is they do these great Disney Plus television shows, but the thing is, they basically write them out, and the 8-episode length of it is like, you're basically making a movie. And if you watch it in its entirety, it's better. It's like, why don't you just take these TV shows that you're already doing and make a movie out of it, and take out some of the nonsense in some of them? Even though I love some of the nonsense, but like, you can cut it down to a 2.5-3 hour period, you know, like that's almost as long as most of these shows are anyway. There will be a Star Wars reboot with the classic characters back. Nah, I don't think there will be, personally. I don't think that's the case. George always pushed for something the fans wouldn't expect. That's definitely true. I read that one. Jedi Mike, big streaming show soon on Disney. DD. I'm so dead. I shouldn't even read that one. You got me, man. Nah, for real though. Andor is definitely exciting too, and you know, you could say that's nostalgia based, being based on Rogue One. No, I'm excited as hell for Andor though. I think, you know, a lot of the aspects of things that they're doing now are kind of new, and to your point, Skywalker's Academy, you know, kind of pushing that new, you know, pushing towards new things and new directions, which I think doing a Goonies Star Wars kind of show is going to be dope. It's going to be a fun adventure that might lead us into even more cool things, especially with it being tied into the Ahsoka and Mandalorian universe. Like, who knows what it might end up leading to potentially. I don't know. Maybe that's just me having hopes for it also. But, and you know, that's the thing. We all kind of have our own ideas of what we kind of want with Star Wars or hope for with Star Wars. But, you know, try to enjoy this stuff. It's good stuff, man. It's good for the soul, and if you take it too serious, that's when it's bad for you. CT0420 says, I'm not trying to be a downer, but to have a reboot of Star Wars with some of the old people back would be amazing, but some of the old people are gone now. Yeah, no, and you're not even a downer, dude. That's just it. You can't remake perfection. The like they said earlier in the report, you know, the original trilogy is the Old Testament, if you want to put that analogy in there. You know, like it's the original Star Wars. It's what everybody fell in love with. That and the prequels, if you're probably my age, is those 6 movies for the most part. And then outside of that, there's probably a ton of other projects that you've also fell in love with. It's just, you know, it's hard to recreate that original trilogy. I don't think that's the right way to do it. That's where you're going nostalgia based. And yeah, it could be kind of cool if you had some of them in there, but you're definitely right, CT. Some of them are gone now, and the longer they wait to do that, the more of them probably will be, unfortunately, to be the Debbie Downer. You know, that's the thing. They're just, in some senses, they are running around like chickens with their heads cut off with the movies, being like, what do we do? And it's like I said, take these damn shows that you're already making, cut a little bit of it out, make it 2.5 to 3 hours, and make it a movie. I have no idea what the Pokemon nostalgia is about, but interesting. Did I even finish this? I did not finish this article at all. Uh, an insider also added to make a standalone movie or movies or continuing the Skywalker saga in any form is a fundamental question the company faces as it tries to move forward. And it definitely is a question that I think is one that does need to be addressed. So I'm glad that they're addressing it. Because I'm open to it. I think a lot of fans are open to more. I don't even know if we need to necessarily do one that continues it either. I'm open to a new trilogy, though, for sure, at some point. Granted, of course, you can't recreate perfection, like I said, but Kenobi, yeah, you make a Kenobi, instead of Kenobi Season 2, make a Kenobi movie. We need a lightsaber in Black Ops 6, we do. We do. That would make killing zombies a lot easier. It definitely would. Y'all are killing me in the chat. There's definitely a lot of other fun stuff going on in the Star Wars space at the moment too. Like I said, with Skeleton Crew coming out December 3rd with the first 2 episodes, that'll definitely be pretty freaking hyped. I'm excited for that. I know, what else was I going to say? There's definitely a lot more Star Wars Outlaws that we're going to be playing around these parts, because your boy has only gotten, like, I don't know, 7 to 10 hours into the game on the streams. It's such a time commitment, but we're going to get some more streams going. I'll probably be doing some random streams here and there, playing some Outlaws, so if you guys want to step in, definitely make sure to subscribe. I'm gonna try to get a little bit of a schedule going though. I think Saturdays we might do kind of an animation, kind of cartoons in the morning in a sense. There's a couple shows and episodes of things that your boy has missed and not watched in quite a long time. I never saw the end of Bad Batch. I feel like such a sacrilegious fan for even saying that. And I never saw Tales of the Empire. So I think Saturdays going forward, we're gonna try to watch some of those type of stuff, and maybe even go back and watch some other stuff. So definitely, if you want to do some watch parties or check out some more Star Wars content like this, subscribe to the channel. Do it. You must join the dark side. Let's see what else y'all are saying in the chat. Do you know of any news on any new Star Wars games coming out? And that's to anybody, not just you, Shave, but especially you. I've been out of the game too long, but not too much. I was gonna say Star Wars Santa might know more than me. Wait, what? You are grounded? Naughty list. Go watch Star Wars immediately. Hey man, your boy has been taking a serious hiatus. It's been Star Wars Santa, I deserve that. I'm on the naughty list. Christmas is in like a month, fam. Don't do that to me. Oh man, what am I guess I can put that call to use somehow, you know what I mean? Watch Bad Batch. Oh, I was waiting for everybody's reaction. That's terrible. Yeah, I'm terrible. I'm surprised, but this is a judgment-free zone, Sheep. You're free to be surprised, but that's been my life the last year. You know what I mean? There's so much depth to the Pokemon Go. I'm so dead right now. Y'all are killing me. Star Wars Santa says there's still time to get off the naughty list. Okay, 40 days. 40 days apparently from Jedi Mike. So we got a little bit of time to figure it out. That's good news. That's real. Let me turn down the music a little bit. That's real good news. I don't know if it's still louder than me. Let me know. I'm judging. Well, you are my cousin. That's fair. That's terrible. You can't judge me for that, man. But for real, we might be talking about some Marvel stuff around here in the next couple of months too, just because your boy sees the vision just like he does with Star Wars. You know, I see this whole vision. You know, Rey is not the biggest asset. You know what I'm saying? She's a big asset, and I'm excited to see what they could do with her future stories. I like the Rey character, but you got Thrawn returning to the main galaxy with Luke Skywalker still there. The Mandalorian and all the Mandalorian people kind of reigniting their people in a sense. Thrawn returning, Ezra returning, Ahsoka and the Mortis gods and Sabine kind of doing their stuff in an entirely different galaxy. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff you could do with all of that to, you know, take it from the television side of things and put it into really freaking cool movies that kind of, I don't know, maybe do something kind of like Marvel and just keep taking that Mandoverse thing. You know what I mean? Okay. The music you can barely hear, or you can barely, or me. That I should be up, but the music's probably turned down now. Hey, the music is always bomb. Skywalker's Academy, you already know. Reunited, but it feels so good. It does indeed. But yeah, like I said, just like with the vision that I got with Star Wars and what I think they could do, whether it is on the television or movie side of things, I see the vision of what's going down with the MCU and Secret Wars in the future, and I am hyped with that. So if your boy starts going a little MCU crazy sometimes, just how it is sometimes. So enjoy the ride, enjoy Vader's Lair. Welcome in. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. Smash that like button. I think there's a lot to be excited about for the future of Star Wars, and I hope that you can kind of see that vision as well, and that you guys are excited for it too. For those of us that are big fans of the franchise, I think there is a lot for us to look forward to. So let's get it. Let's enjoy. Make sure to enjoy that Star Wars. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your life. I love y'all. Have a good one. And may the Force be with you always. Peace. Glitching out. I definitely like the idea of doing some new stuff too. I think they're doing some cool new stuff already. But you got a whole Thrawn trilogy right there waiting for you. Do it!